What is going to define the future of humanity? In this digital revolution, in this world of the fourth industrial revolution and all of the technologies and so on that are there, what do you think is going to define our future? What do you think will define your children's future? The pillar of the future. The future is going to be decided by trust. Remember this word throughout today, trust. Ethics, humanity, values, and empathy.
Back at Singularity, what we noticed was that that doubling pattern that we've seen in Moore's Law for 60 years now, we see it in all of our devices, that doubling pattern is now occurring in a dozen technologies. And this is very unique. In the history of our species, at any given time, maybe one technology was accelerating or another. Today we have a full dozen. And that basket is expanding as we underpin computation in more and more domains. So in neuroscience, the resolution at which we can image the brain is doubling every year. The speed at which we can sequence the human genome is doubling every 5 months. The growth of drones are doubling in their price performance every 9 months. And this is quite incredible. We've never seen this before. And the aggregate effect becomes quite profound. And it's really hard to spot this pace of change. All of our education, training, intuition about the world teaches us linear extrapolation. If you're running a company, you often take your past performance, you draw a line as to where things might be.
But it's also really important to unleash creativity. So often in our companies, we treat people without trust. We tell them that this is your job, don't bother anyone else. You're only good at this, don't go outside those boundaries. We don't tell people, go change the world. Come up with an idea that can affect millions of lives. We don't say, you're responsible for coming up with the best-selling products and services of the future. And it's only when we start to do that with people across the organisation and different levels of seniority that we see this blossoming and this inspiration and this passion that comes out during sprints. It's really a wonderful thing as a coach to see on every single sprint.
This map that you see here behind me, this is a map of what we call staking activity all around the world. And this is absolutely fascinating. I'm showing you a view of the last 180 days. And everywhere you see a glowing pixel in green or red, with the red being higher concentrations of activity, that is someone or a server in our network running a piece of software that is helping to run the blockchain that underlies the ExO economy. And if you start to think about what that means, it means we have our own means of exchange of value. It means we have our own means of store of value in this software application, really, that runs on top of the blockchain called a token, the ExO's token.
If you were to start your company from scratch now, what would you do different? What would you do different? This is a very tricky question, a difficult question, but I would appreciate if someone could answer that.
I would like to create a asset-less, more technology-driven, scalable model. Rather than capital incentive or maybe the manpower incentive.
Digital driven. One other question, what kind of organizational model would you embrace for that new company? not for your own, but for your new, if you were to start up again?
Started a business about 11 years ago and got a private equity raise of about $20 million so that we could do 3 or 4 business clubs fast. And I think in retrospect, it might have been better to do just one and perfect it and then roll it out without raising so much capital.
We had an astronaut with us at the first couple of years of Singularity University who had spent actually a world record for free floating in space. And he tells a story about how he became an astronaut. So it turns out at age 4, 5, 6, he wants to become an astronaut. As many kids that age want to do, they want to become an astronaut. At 6, 7, 8, he was still wanting to be an astronaut. In fact, his parents made him wear a American football helmet wherever he went. Not because he played football, because he kept jumping off things trying to fly. And after the 5th trip to the hospital, they're like, wear the helmet, you can't go anywhere without wearing the helmet. So he gets to high school, and now very few of his friends want to be an astronaut. And the high school counselor is saying, you're never going to be an astronaut, you're not good looking enough, you're not tall enough, you're not athletic enough, you're not smart enough, just give up. Go be an accountant, business person, etc. Gets through university, he still wants to become an astronaut. And there's 2 paths to becoming an astronaut. You become a fighter pilot, or you become a medical doctor. And he does both. Becomes a fighter pilot and he becomes a medical doctor. And then age 23, they finally open up applications for the space shuttle to become an astronaut. So he sends in the 2-inch thick application, puts it all together, sends in this horribly big application, gets back a little envelope saying you didn't make it. Age 24, he submits it again. 25, again. 26, again. 27, again. Age 28, he does it again. Now he's a tenured professor. He's up for tenure at his university. His chairman is saying, why do you want a reference letter? Why do you want to go into space? You can become, he goes, no, I want to go into space. 29, 30, he keeps applying. At age 30, he said he didn't get a response back from NASA, so he called them and said, did you get my application? And they said, we know who you are. So, age 30, 31, 32, he keeps applying, he keeps being told no. And now people are saying, you're too old. You can't be an astronaut at age 32, 33, 34. He keeps going, 33, 34, 35, 36. Age 37, he gets accepted. And he finds out, he finally sits them down and said, I've been trying for 14 years. Why the hell didn't you say yes earlier? And they said, we're testing you. We say no deliberately because we want to know if you run into a problem in space, we want to know you're never going to stop trying to fix that problem. You're never going to give up. And so they do it deliberately. And 14 years after applying, he gets in, he does 3 space shuttle flights, 2 spacewalks, et cetera, et cetera. But that's what success takes. And the story he tells is, if you want something badly enough and you never stop, there's no way you're not going to succeed. So first of all, I want a round of applause for Tariq for organizing and hosting and bringing all this together. We have a lot of partners around the world, and it's great to have somebody with the sophistication and depth that Tariq brings to the equation. So huge acknowledgement and appreciation there. We've had quite a day. You've gone through quite a journey of understanding how disrupted the world is going to be, and is already happening in all sorts of domains, and hopefully that's kind of embedded in you in a pretty deep level. Hopefully you walk out of here never thinking about the world in the same way again. The second is what's possible with how we think about the world and where we can really add incredible amounts of value. We found that this model of a massive transformative purpose with the scale and ideas characteristics allows us to build organizations now in a totally new way.